In this video, I'm going to talk about 3 things: how I select students to be a part of my small groups. I'm going to talk about how I give them those cute names like Helping Hawks. And then I'm going to share the curriculum and resources that I use to run my small groups. Now let's talk about how I select students to be a part of my groups. Picking students is like a science, or like a puzzle actually. You really have to think about a few things. One of the first things that I do is consult teachers. So I send out a list of the small groups that I plan on running for that particular time frame. I used to send out an email with recommendations for small groups, but I found it to be more effective if you send out a Google Sheet or a Google form. I have teachers input the name of the student and write a very brief description of why they recommend that student. And the only reason I do that is because I want to make sure I prioritize the highest need for students to be a part of those groups. When I run small groups, I try to keep the numbers below 6 because I want to make sure that the students who need it the most are actually a part of that group. This is the process that I use to narrow down those choices. I also take in consideration student self-referrals. So if you listen to your students, they'll be open and honest and tell you the things that they're struggling with or what they need. Like for example, I have students tell me all the time, "Mr. Burnett, I have anger issues." And I always listen to them, ask them if they would like help with that, and recommend them for my small groups. Another thing that you want to consider is the personalities of the students that you're recommending for groups. There's certain students that there's no way that I would recommend for them to be in the same group together. This helps me to make sure that students are on task, and it helps reduce behavior concerns. And the last thing that I think of when I consider placing students is family referrals. So I have families call and say, "Hey, my student is struggling with this, this, and this." And again, I use that information to refer them for small groups. So now you have your students who will be a part of your group. The next thing you want to do is reach out to families and inform them of what's going on. So I call the family and I introduce myself and I give them a brief description of the group and the purpose for the group. I'll tell them that their student was selected to be a part of so-and-so group, and I give them a rundown of what the group is going to be about. And I actually make it like an honor that their student has been chosen because I want to let them know that this is a great way to help their student be successful this school year. I don't just send home a permission slip. I make sure that I call them first so that they know what's going on, and that way they'll be on the lookout for the permission slip. I know I'm not the only person who's given a student a permission slip or something important to take home. You ask them, "Hey, did you take that permission slip home to your family?" And then this is the response you get. I think it's still in my backpack somewhere. Oh, here it is. I forgot to get it signed. And if you don't want to create your own family permission slip, you can search the web and find some cute ones like on Teachers Pay Teachers. So now let's talk about how I give my small groups those cute names. So I have run small groups in the past, and then in order to avoid the negative connotation attached to some of those groups, like anger management, I like to reframe it and name it in a positive way. So instead of anger management, I'll call them emotion controllers. This is a group where I teach positive coping skills, how to make good choices, feeling identification, and I help them manage those big emotions. We also talk about triggers, which is really important because it helps students manage their behaviors when they're not in small group with you. Another group that I've run is Respect Rally. This is where I teach them empathy, communication skills, how to resolve conflict respectfully. Another fun group that I've run is the Leadership League. This is where I teach students how to be assertive, how to communicate effectively, how to be respectful, how to manage their image and reputation, and how to reduce peer pressure. And I always align it with like superhero themes. I've also run a small group for girls, which is an acronym that stands for Girls in Real Life Situations. We talk about positive self-image, we talk about how to get along with our peers, how to love ourselves, and how to increase our self-esteem. Now, I'm gonna also share another group that I've done, and I kind of look back on the naming of this group, and I don't think I would use it again, but I used to name groups Banana Splits, where we would talk about divorce and family changes. And when they successfully completed the groups, we would actually have banana splits. But when I think about the naming of that now, I'm not really sure about it. The more recent times that I've run this group, I renamed it Children of Change. And this is where I invited students who were foster children, who were going through divorce, or had an incarcerated parent. But we also talked about ways to take care of ourselves, so we did a lot of coping skills within this group. So now let's talk about the curriculum that I use, because another part of running small groups is you have to know what materials you're going to use. So I'm going to share some free resources, and I'm going to share some inexpensive resources and materials that you can use to successfully run your groups. Reach out to your school leader and see if you have any money in your school counseling budget. I would hate for you to have to purchase things out of your own pocket. Depending on the topic of your group is going to determine how you search for these free resources. One thing that I've used for self-esteem is the Dove Self-Esteem Project. It has lesson plans that go with body image and self-confidence, and it's a really good resource to use. And again, it's free. The links for all of these will be in the description below, so check that out. If you're looking for free resources for anxiety, depression, and mindfulness, you can search trailstowellness.org. They have a wide range of activities, games, free presentations on Google Slides. You can use these lessons for upper elementary, middle school, and high school. They have a wide range of resources for each one of those grade levels. So it's awesome. And again, it's free. I also use this book, Girls in Real Life Situations. It's an amazing book, and I use it for my girls groups, but sometimes you can tailor the lesson and make it apply to boys. So it really depends. Another resource that I use that is fairly inexpensive is something I purchased from Teachers Pay Teachers from Counselor Chelsea, and it's a 6-week no prep group. And the topics range from friendship, respect, anger, leadership. I use these pre-made lessons and curriculum that's already done for you, but I also have to sometimes revise it and make it fit for the audience that I serve. So that can look like adding materials, making lessons more engaging, creating different games, or actually just kind of revamping how they do it. But I use these as a guide. Comment below and share your school's mascot, and I'll reply with a cute name for a small group. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit that bell notification so you're aware when I post new videos. And in the meantime, be sure to watch part 1 of this video series where I talk about the logistics and planning involved with small groups, because I want to make sure that you set up your group successfully.